Things are progressing so fast.
Once you see the power of this, you'll realize, oh my gosh, it's truly going to be efficacy in a tool that is very affordable.
We don't want to replace people, but just simply implementing maybe ChatGPT into things and enhance their lives. I'm shaving off 2 to 3 hours a day on menial tasks.
One of the things I love to say is don't let it think for you, let it process for you.
I know I hear a lot about privacy concerns when it comes to AI. People always go, oh my gosh, do you know what you're giving away?
Don't put anything out there that you don't want out there, right?
In the 60s and stuff, they were worried about phone tapping. Now we get to pay for the privilege to have our phones tapped.
I'm like, man, I have not wasted $180 so fast in my life before, but I did. So
it's just hard to tell where things are going right now. Your crystal ball is as foggy as mine with it.
Hi, and welcome to the 91-Day AI Amplification Podcast. I'm your host, Jonathan Mast, and today we're doing something fun and unique. It's not just one or two of us, but we've got three amazing AI people. Well, at least two and me, at least. So I don't want to say that, but at least two amazing AI people and myself. And I'm really excited. We've got both Tim and Allan with us today. I was on their podcast just, a couple weeks ago, it seems like, may have been a month or so ago now. And we had such an amazing time chatting that I thought, we need to return the favor and we need to have a continuing chat. We've already been talking pre-call. Here's some ideas we've got to talk about. But before we dive in, Tim, Allan, Tim, I see you first, so I'll have you go first. Give the audience just a quick overview of who you guys are, and then we'll dive in and we'll have some fun talking about AI.
Yeah, thanks for having us on. It was fun having you on our podcast. I'm Tim Roper. We're one part of three people who run Prompt Commander AI. We're business consultants that lead with AI and offer business solutions to small to medium-sized businesses. So we can go in from any scope to helping with SOPs to just automating those processes, and usually end up anyways giving them some AI solutions. So we have quite a few partnerships that we can go in and offer as solutions. And I've spent my time in the Chamber of Commerce world, so this was a great switch over to helping businesses.
Oh, I bet. Allan, how about you? You want to give everybody a little elevator pitch on Allan?
Yeah. So I'm Allan Dubon. I've been doing agency work and business consulting for about 23 years. I got started on a whim my senior year of high school, and it's paid off pretty well, and get to be here and now focused on AI. My big passion is helping businesses grow and seeing where they can do a small tweak to make a large impact.
Awesome. I love it. Well, we have talked quite a bit on your podcast about AI, and as we were just getting into here, we had some things come up. One of the things I'd love to talk about first, and I don't know where Tim and Allan stand on this, but I know I hear a lot about privacy concerns when it comes to AI, specifically because I'm a self-admitted fan of Manus and some of the Chinese tools that are out there. I think they're pretty good. Not the only ones I use, but people always go, oh my gosh, do you know what you're giving away? And I'm like, yeah, I'll give you guys a quick story and then I'll get your opinion. 2 weeks ago on Friday, my wife and I were at the air show in Pensacola Beach in Florida. It was cool. We got to see the Blue Angels and everything. And after the air show, we walked down the Pensacola Beach pier and we were commenting, man, it is so beautiful, but it's so sunny. And I'm not a guy that likes to sit in the sun. I like being outside, but on the sun. And these people, a lot of people on the beach have these really cool tents, and they like these sunshade tents. And I'm like, those are cool. We should look at one of those. And I mentioned from the pier one of the brand names that I saw on the tent because you could see it. And I'm like, oh, we're going to have to look at that. We walked back to our minivan. It wouldn't 5 minutes later. It's 100 degrees out. So we turned the van on and we let it cool down before we did anything. That means I pulled out my phone and I thought, well, I'm going to pop on Facebook and see what's going on. You may or may not be surprised. I immediately saw ads for that exact same sunshade by that brand, and then I saw ads for 3 competitors. I have never in my life even thought of buying one of those, and yet I mentioned the brand name. My phone was in my pocket. I know it heard me. from my perspective, I assume if I'm posting online, if I'm doing anything online, I'm uploading to my phone, whatever, I assume everybody needs it. And I kind of follow the don't say it if you wouldn't say it in church type model. I'd love to know your guys' perspective, because I'm probably taking the simple ADD route, which is I'm just not going to worry about it. I'd love to hear what you guys feel about that. Where do you guys come in on that, and what do you recommend to clients, especially when it comes to AI and privacy?
I think one of the biggest things that we recommend is don't put anything out there that you don't want out there, right?
Yeah.
So, uh, we are being tracked. We all carry our cell phones around with us. We were just mentioning on our last podcast, I was at a conference here in Salt Lake City, and they were showing me how they track where they can focus economic development just by your cell phone usage. And they had a heat map of where cell phone usage was being used, where people were traveling from into the city to see who they should market more to. Is it more to the counties to the north or the south? So I'm an open book. So it's out there, and why not just use it? It's making my life easier. But that's and Allan can do deeper dive into that. But if you don't want it out there, then don't put it in anywhere that you don't want anybody to find it.
It reminds me of Monsters Inc. I'm watching you, Wazowski, always watching. So, that's what we've got going on, right? And in the 60s and stuff, they were worried about phone tapping and things like now we get to pay for the privilege to have our phones tapped, right? And so that's where we will be listened to. We will have things that go that way, but there are ways that we can protect what we're doing and what we put out there, by using stronger passwords, by not giving our passwords inside of things like ChatGPT or any other AI model. You don't necessarily want to share your passwords there. And doing what you can do to safeguard, but also knowing that if you're connected to the web at all, you are being tracked, and that there are lots of data points on you. And that's why some of these ads feel so targeted, not just when you say a specific name brand, but also when you feel like, I was just thinking about this. You might have actually said something out loud and it targeted it to you.
Yeah, no, I think, again, it sounds like we're all on the same page. I'm a big believer. Yes, I know there are privacy risks. I understand there are privacy risks. It's so difficult in my mind to figure out how to totally protect yourself. It seems easier to me to go, okay, I'm going to make sure that I don't upload anything that's personally identifiable that I don't want to. I'm going to make sure that I, don't upload things that I don't want people to know. And I know the fear that I hear a lot, and I've not ever seen it happen. I've heard a couple people claim it's happened, but I've never seen it, is that information that we upload, that, Allan, I might upload something and Tim may actually get that in a response, what I uploaded as a response in ChatGPT or an AI tool. I've never seen that happen, and I've never seen a confirmed case of it. Have you guys ever heard of anything like that happening, where a user, shares data and it's literally provided as an answer to another user? So, Tim has the ability to go, tell me what Jonathan put in, and see that. I've never heard of that happening, but I'm curious if you guys have.
I have never seen it myself. I don't even think I've tested it out, but I've heard people talk about it, but it only gives me information on the things that I've inputted into it. And that's why I tell people, it's garbage in, garbage out of what you're putting into. And
so true.
We teach prompting, and you've got to be very clear to it. I use Tony Stark and Jarvis as an example a lot. Tony has to be very clear to Jarvis of what he wants done, and then Jarvis can go execute. And I see AI, ChatGPT, or anything like that is the same way, but I'm not seeing that information kicking back. And we test it. We're up late testing it together, just trying new things and experimenting. And unless I go tell it I want something done in this style, it's not giving me that.
Yeah. Well, and that's actually one of the things I've said so often. As many times as ChatGPT can't give me what I want, even when I give it the training data that I want it to do, and it still messes up. How in the world is it going to give me something that it's not supposed to? Yeah, it's interesting to hear that as we go along. I'd love to chat with you guys a little bit about agentic AI. We've heard so much recently about that. There's tools like Manus and GenSpark that have been released. Perplexity just released their new Labs feature not too long ago. And then, of course, last week, as we're recording this, ChatGPT released Agent. And I'm just curious from your perspective, your thoughts on how do you explain, first of all, to that average business owner, what's the difference between, a regular large language model and an agentic model, and where do you see those fitting into our workflows as we move forward?
Yeah, so you know the agentic model is really has a broader set of rules, and so it can make decisions, quote unquote, on its own a little bit more within the rule sets that we give it, right? And so it instead of you having to be there to do every part of the steps, we can make it so that it has a workflow that this, then this, then this. And so it can go through that without you having to be there every single step of the way. So, this is it's a little bit more autonomous in the way that it works. And so it can be good or bad, right? It depends on your trust level of the system you're using, the actual bot you've built,
Sure.
and things like that, right? But looking at it, it can be very, very helpful. One of the first ones we saw, I forget the name of it, but it was through ChatGPT and the agent that it went and booked a a restaurant
Oh yeah, operator.
reservation, right? But it in their demo it didn't work right, which was kind of ironic, right? It had some faulty parts that they had to fix. But every day this stuff gets better, right? And so the further along
Mm,
we go, the more refined they'll be.
It's going to be interesting to see where it all goes, and making it more autonomous. I mean, I was just reading, uh, per, stats that this is expected by the end of next year, expected to take over 50% of white collar jobs. So I think we're all going to be shifting for something else to be doing if it's not sitting in front of a computer punching out emails or whatever out there. I think one thing we've been telling businesses specifically is, just hold tight just a little bit. This is advancing really
yes.
quick, and let's not freak out. Let's just monitor this, and let's put in the workflows and some of the good platforms, and we're trying to find those things that really really work for businesses. So we've been developing those partnerships out there so we can go in and help them navigate that and see, what makes sense for your business. Is it, just, using a basic phone operator, or, is it just learning how to use, something that can design documents for you, or, some simple things right now, but let's slowly integrate this into your business so that you're ready, and let's develop a policy around what we're going to be implementing.
I think one of the
Really
things that
wise. I
we
like
can
that.
that we can talk about that would make it more relevant to people. I think a lot of folks are using VAs or virtual assistants, right? And so
Hmm.
I can use a process from one of our clients. They're a franchise, but they don't hold hardly any inventory. And so
Okay.
when they need to bring in inventory, they made a sale, they send over the bill to the client. The client accepts the proposal, then it turns into an invoice. They pay the invoice. As soon as the invoice is paid, it pings into their system. We now have a VA that will follow up with that. Place the order with the supplier. It gets shipped to this company's location, but in the interim, they need to know when the expected delivery date is, if the PO was received, what the numbers are from the supplier, and then when it arrives, they need to make sure that everything that was ordered was shipped and collected, based on what they had on their shipping requisite, right? And so, I kind of simplified it a lot. There's more steps, but the VA right now is doing all of that and making sure that everything that they ordered on the front end was on the shipper's logs and things like that. Now you can have that agent run things like that and do those checks, send some emails, do comparisons. Um, and that's just one small example of where it could take place. So anywhere that you're using a VA could potentially have an agent AI in there.
No, I agree with you on that. I think, the other thing that I see a lot about is businesses wondering, do we have a general agent that basically does everything, or do we have multiple specialty agents? While the agentic tools are new, up to this point in time, I've seen with the non-agentic tools that we've had better luck being specialists. What are your thoughts about that as we move into agentic? Do you think we're going to stick in that specialist mode, or we're going to move more towards a jack of all trades for highest effectiveness and best results?
Right
I
now,
like things
oh, go ahead,
simplified.
Tim.
I hope we move towards being more simplified in just one tool. But you're right. For now, it is just the specialist kind of tool, and developing things. Anything that can be automated, we can usually pull into that specialist tool.
Yeah, I think that for now, I think where we're at, it's specialist. I think you can have a generalist that could then lead to a specialist bot. And so using them in tandem versus expecting the generalist bot to be able to do all of it at once. I don't think that
Mm-hmm.
that we are quite there yet. I think we can get there where we can train it and almost have specialty folders within the bot so that it can recognize they're asking about this, go to this data set, and then pull from there. But I don't see it on the back end quite there yet.
Excellent, excellent. No, I think it's going to be interesting to see as we go ahead how that all plays out, and certainly I'm just curious. This will be launching about a week from now when we put it out. Have you guys had a chance to play with the new ChatGPT agent that came out last week? I have, and I'll be honest, I've been wildly unimpressed with it overall. But I'm just curious if you guys have had a chance to play with it at all.
That's been
I haven't
our
had a
sense
chance,
of
but I
it.
saw I saw your comments out there, and I've seen a lot of others, and that's why I've been holding off. Is I'm like, I usually will let other people go test it out and listen to their opinions first, so especially the people that I know are well respected in it. I've always just kind of had that mentality though, but I think but things are progressing so fast. It's just hard to tell where things are going to end up right now. Your crystal ball is as foggy as mine with it, but I'm also not opposed to those people willing to jump in and test be the first people out there. And Allan and I think we feel the same way. Just jumping on board. We go and teach a lot of classes and do presentations on AI, and it's amazing how many people haven't even downloaded ChatGPT to their phone yet.
Yeah.
People who are just still kind of maybe lagging behind too much, and they need to really work harder on catching up with all of this. So we are going to be having to dive in, but we're the leaders out there testing this stuff out, and people are going to start. People look to us a lot to, hey, what do you think about this before I jump into it?
John and I, the other partner that wasn't able to make it here, have had the same feeling about the new operator there on ChatGPT. It was underwhelming. He's got John is our amazing master at building all this stuff. He's far ahead of us too on that side. But his process is he builds these other bots and then puts them in projects, and he can move so much faster
Hmm.
running through the cascade that he's built for those versus waiting for this bot to do what it needs to do or fighting the limitations. So he's of the same sentiment that it's not quite there yet.
Very cool. Well, I feel I will really admit I was like, man, am I the only one that was frustrated over the weekend with it? And then I was watching Matt Wolf do a video, and I immediately saw that Matt's response was, 40 some minutes, and I get an error. This is ridiculous.
That's right. That's right.
So I felt a little vindicated. It wasn't just
I just
me.
went on Reddit and read all the comments people were having about how frustrated they were. So
Yeah, it is.
I've learned that's a great way to see the pulse of stuff is just jump on Reddit.
I will definitely say it was not worth the. I've generally had a ChatGPT Plus account. It's done everything I needed. I didn't need the Pro. But when they said, "Hey, if you have the Pro account on Thursday, you're going to have it tonight," I'm like, "Fine, I'm going to upgrade." I had a couple of meetings on Friday. I'm like, "I want to have it. I want to show people that." And I'm like, "Man, I have not wasted $180 so fast in my life before," but I did. So be it. That's the way life goes.
I was going to ask, was it worth the bump up?
No, in fact, I've already canceled and went back to Plus at the end of so on August 17, I go back to the Plus plan. And I know a lot of people are like, how do you get away with the Plus plan? I'm like, it does everything I need. I mean, it really, It works well. I'm not saying the Pro is bad, but for what I use it for, the custom GPTs and the hundreds of prompts that I do, I love it. Let's dive into that a little bit and talk a little bit about models. One of the questions I know a lot of business people have is, what is the perfect AI tool? I'm not sure that exists. In fact, I'm pretty sure it doesn't, but I'm curious from your perspective on a day-to-day basis, what tools are you guys using when it comes to AI? What AI tools are in your daily toolbox?
I got introduced to ChatGPT pretty early on with Allan. He came to my office and I just had some questions. I barely even knew Allan. I just knew he knew some stuff about AI and wanted to ask him some questions. But I've stuck with ChatGPT just because I have, put so much information into it and learned it over time and actually learned how to use it. And I think that's where people get frustrated too, because they don't spend the time learning, how to customize it to what you're wanting it to do and thinking. But we run the gamut. I know John, our other partner, man, his stack is way deeper than mine. But we're constantly testing things out. I think my biggest advice to people is just pick one for now, and start simple and just stick with that for a little while before you kind of move on to other things.
Yeah, for me, ChatGPT is my workhorse, and it's probably the same thing as Tim. It's where I started on these bigger models. But I really like to use Grok for research, and I always say Grok is a chatty Cathy. So you won't get a small
Yes, it
response from
really is.
Grok.
Yeah.
So I will go do research on Grok, bring it back over to ChatGPT, and ask it to summarize or put it in the way that I want it. Um, in building mockups for clients and in deliverables like apps and websites and things like that. Lovable has been really great, and tying it into Supabase, being able to run down that. If I'm doing a presentation and I just need something quick and that looks really good, but it's not necessarily a custom built, we have Gamma. So you can either put a prompt from an outside into Gamma, or you can even just give it one or two lines and it'll start building out what you want, and then you can go refine it. So really, it's what use case do you want it for, right? Some people love Claude, some people love Copilot. I've used them. I don't delve into those too deep because I've got my set that works really well for me. It's kind of like you talking about the Pro account, that the Plus does what I need it to do, and I found my workarounds. It reminds me of the old school MS-DOS days where I could go through some software a lot faster with the keystrokes than I could, when they had a nicer UX and UI kind of a thing, right? Then I had to go click on each individual thing, where before I just knew my keystrokes and I can go through 15 commands in the time I could click two things.
I remember those days well.
The fun part about it is experimenting with all these things, and we brought it up when you were on our podcast, is the hot garbage out there we've discovered.
Oh yeah.
There's just stuff out there that just doesn't work, and that's where people like us, Alan and I, come into place. Is we've already made our mistakes and paid the money for some of these tools out there, so we can tell you, stay away from that certain platform.
Yeah, no, I love that you guys are sharing that and finding that again. So many people I find are looking for that perfect tool, and my position has always been, and I think you guys, from what you're sharing, probably would be in alignment. The tool you have will let you do so much more than you could do without
Yes.
AI. That just focus on the tool that you have available to you versus spending all your time going, well, if this one might be 3% better, because let's face it, next week it won't be 3% better because somebody
No.
else will have a new model. So,
Yeah. This week ChatGPT has been, hot garbage in the oh, try again or reload or whatever it says. And Grok has now come out with this unicorn stuff, right? It's PhD level and things like that. But, give it a few days and it'll switch up and something else will come up, and so it's never, it's like you said, it's just kind of the competing between a few percentage points here and there. But really, the one you use, the one you master, will be the one that works a lot better for you.
We tell our clients just to start slow. Let's start with something here, and then we can grow faster doing that. And I think using these platforms and just starting out a little bit, just learning a basic prompt is going to help you go a long way than just diving full bore in and thinking you need to know everything about this. And guys like us have been doing this for quite a while now, learning all this and exploring it, testing it. One thing Alan and I and John love to do is to get new platforms that people will come to us and say, hey, test this out and see if you can break it for us. And so we love to do those things and, see what's really going to work for you. And it comes down to, specifically in business, and Alan's alluded to this too, is, what are you wanting out of this? And then we can direct you to the right thing.
no, it makes so much sense. Well, as we get ready to bring the plane in for a landing here, so to speak, I'd love to get your guys' perspectives. We know that there's still a lot of businesses that are not really utilizing AI. If you had an opportunity to speak to them and say, okay, it's time, what advice would you give to them as we, head into August here as we launch this? What advice would you give them? What should they be doing in the first few months of that implementation in order to make sure that AI is successful within their organization and team? Any thoughts, any advice that you would have for them?
You need to start developing a good plan. You need, corporations, they can throw a lot of money at this, and that's why we try to really bring this down to the small to medium business level. But you need to at least start having a plan in place of how you're going to integrate this. You may not be ready to completely, switch over completely to certain things, but let's at least start to identify areas that may be potential places for you to bring in some AI, and not to replace people. That's our biggest thing. We don't want to replace people, but your team, your employees, we want to be able to show you how, just simply implementing maybe ChatGPT into things can enhance their lives. Me using that, I'm shaving off 2 to 3 hours a day on menial tasks that I can go do the things that I want to do in my business. We all have those things that we want to do in our business and things we don't want to do. And I love to hand those things off I don't want to do to other people. But now if I can just automate that and have, AI help me write an email, and we're getting so much farther than just that. But that core policy, I think, is something that every business really needs to start looking at and developing that plan.
Yeah, a lot of people are afraid and think that it's going to take over or that you have to put it all in at once. And really, it's like Tim said, let's just get you started. One of the things I love to say is don't let it think for you, let it process for you. And so letting it take your processes and implement them
I
and
like
help you
that.
move quicker will really help move things along, right? It's once you see the power of this, you'll realize, oh my gosh, it's not just these, 3,000 prompts for people over 30, right? And that kind of stuff. It's truly going to be efficacy in a tool that is very affordable and allowing you to process more, which then in turn allows your people to work on higher revenue generating things instead of doing small batch research or doing the tedious little stuff. Now you free them up to do what you really want to pay them to do and allowing AI to handle the menial stuff. The other part is, if you don't know where you're at, bring somebody like Jonathan Mast in, bring us in, and allow us to teach you how to do things. Jonathan, you have a lot of great courses on your site on how to do things, and I love that because it simplifies. Now, in Jonathan's case, he's going to have to rebuild those a lot because stuff changes so much that he has
Yeah,
to keep them
absolutely.
updated.
Yes.
But you're going to get something great when you go to his site and do those things, right? So that's where I would start is bringing folks in, taking some small courses. Don't try to take it all in at once, and look at where you can start that creates a big impact with the least amount of disturbance to the force, if you will.
One great follow up to that is we took a client. She runs a local flooring store. She runs it all by herself and has never been able to really leave her store. And we came in and analyzed things. She was using multiple platforms out there, softwares. We reduced that greatly. And now she's able to hire 2 new employees that she just is onboarding right now. So use this as a tool to grow your business and find ways that you can finally, contribute to the community and employ people.
Great advice, guys. I love it. If people want to reach out and connect with you and what you guys are doing, what's the best way for them to reach out and connect with you guys?
The best way to connect with us, our website is promptcommander.ai. We're also Facebook. You can look for us as Prompt Commander AI. Follow our podcast. We're on all the platforms, Apple, Spotify, all out there. We have a lot of fun on our podcast. We have a good team here of guys that have come together and found just a common passion out there. We're always happy to engage with people and help. This is going to be some up and down times, but it's going to be a fun time. We've never seen anything like this. I was telling my 95-year-old grandfather, I've probably seen as much change in the last 30 years than he's probably seen in his life, even though he's seen tons of changes, but nothing. He started teaching COBOL at a university in his career, and so to see the advancement is just wild.
Very, very cool. Well, guys, thank you so much for taking time to be on the podcast. I know things are crazy. Allan, you're at a hotel doing this. That's amazing. I'm grateful for you to take that time to do that. Again, thank you so much. I really love chatting with you guys. One of these days, we've got to figure out how to get together and just sit down over, break some bread and have a long discussion. I know it would be an amazing amount of fun. I want to thank everybody that's watching the podcast as well. We appreciate it, whether you're watching, listening, subscribe, give us a thumbs up. We love you all, and we thank you for your time. We will see you on the other side. Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye.
See you guys.